Yeah.
because doubt is a killer of our amazing potential.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm telling everybody, you can do what you want to do. You
Yeah.
just decide to do it. You stand into that space. And if you stand into that space of creation and just create whatever it is that you want, you notice a lot of those doubts and noise and self-talk won't come in because you are narrow in your attention of creating what it is that you want.
Hello, everybody, and you're very welcome to the Empowering Family Health podcast. Today, I am excited as always. I'm especially excited to have Jacqui Taaffe on with me today because Jacqui is just about to launch her new book, and we're going to talk all about that today. But let me introduce Jacqui. She is a life coach. She's also a voluntary bereavement counsellor, and she is an amazing worker, the work that she's doing in this world to make a difference for people. And she's going to give us her message here. Her book is called Inspire, Heal, Empower. Wow, what a powerful message in the title already. The book is about a true story of finding your voice, breaking the silence, and trusting one's knowing. Absolutely gorgeous. So I can't wait to get into this. Jacqui, you're very welcome.
Oh, Joanne, listen, you're gorgeous as usual. It's lovely to be here officially and be recorded, you and me together.
I know, because we cancelled a couple of times and life happened and all of that, but now we're here. So I'm really excited. So Jacqui, your book release is just around the corner. I am so excited. I cannot wait to get a copy of this book in my hand. So Jacqui, before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a bit of background and tell us what really inspires you.
Well, I mean, helping people inspires me because it's energy. It's pure energy. And when I came to a place in my life, really a place in my life where I just instinctively trust myself and my intuition, I gained so much insight and power. And as I learned and as I got more familiar, and I learn every day, there's no day passes that I don't listen to or read something that's going to challenge my thinking, get me to think in another way
Love it.
and get another insight. And the more I do it, it holds momentum. It snowballs and it continues and continues and it nearly becomes, you just have to do it. You have to learn more and want more. And as I've learned more, understood more and want more, you just completely change your whole perspective on life.
It makes life interesting, doesn't it, Jacqui?
It makes life interesting. It makes life very peaceful, even though there's challenges. And you handle situations and challenges completely different. And what it doesn't do, it doesn't rob your joy. So you stay in a space of joy and peace.
Oh,
And if I can't give this to somebody else or share it or direct someone and say, look, there's another way, look at it, try it. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But if you experience it, and this is the coaching, as in, when you say people doing life coaching and whatever, it's like water. We can say the word water, and we cannot experience that water until we either swim in it or we either drink it. So that's what I do. And if you swim and you get a taste of what I'm talking about, you'll never go back. And what it does with you is it'll put you on a trajectory to your own power. So I would always say, when you become an authority on yourself, an expert on yourself, that's where self-empowerment is. Self-knowledge is self-power. You don't get confidence. You become an expert on yourself and you uncover the confidence that's always there because we already have everything. Like we've arrived perfect or imperfectly perfect, whatever way you choose to see it. But it's that taking it turning the lens back on yourself and looking and saying, I have all this. So how do I just uncover it and maybe unlearn some of the things that doesn't help you anymore? So it's fascinating and I love it. And there's references to what I've noticed with some clients is they tell me all the time they're lighter.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I feel lighter, I feel lighter, I feel lighter. So something lifts. And anything that's heavy and burdened is most likely negative. And within that lift are all the positives. So I love it. What can I say? I just love it. And I mean, you can't explain that. You just can't measure that. You can't monetize that.
You have to experience it, yeah. And what I can really hear, Jacqui, oh my God, it's mind-blowing, because you said self-knowledge is self-power, right? And I think so many of us are going around, you said we were born perfect or imperfectly. What was it you said? Imperfectly perfect? Yeah. Which is brilliant, because whatever is going on in our life, it's perfect because there's always something to see there, right? But what I love about the self-knowledge is self-power, because so many of us are going around living our lives and we're just resigned to what is. We're we can be the victim or whatever, and we're just letting life happen. Whereas we do have a lot of control. But from my experience, when we have knowledge about who we are, why we're triggered in a certain way, what is it that just happened that made me behave this way or to feel this way, right? And so many of us don't ask that question. We don't actually, it sounds a bit mad. I actually had this conversation with my daughter last night, believe it or not, right? And my daughter thinks that I'm a bit mad, but she's getting it though. And you have to explain it in an easier format to kids. She's getting it. And I think the new kids at this day and age are wired a little bit differently than us as when we grow up. But that's another conversation. But I believe that so many of us are going around and we don't know what we don't know. We're blind, in other words. And like you mentioned about the fish in the water, swimming in the water. So when we get to experience that and realize, I think there's a realization that needs to be awakened in us. And that's where we get our power. Oh, there's your book. I love this book.
There's a sign. There's a sign. Now, what's that sign? I'm always interested in stuff like that. What does that mean? So, yeah, you're right. It's that light bulb moment. It's another client said she heard a penny drop in her head.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, oh, I see that now. And it's as if all of a sudden we're transported from in and all covered up to back, and we're looking in at ourselves. And when we begin to look in at ourselves and we begin to watch our language and our behaviors, and we do something maybe we don't like, and we notice that then because we're now looking at ourselves from a different perspective.
Yes.
We're now in our power place. We can change this. We don't have to react and respond to situations. We choose how we react and respond. So like I talk about this, and I did it there. I only did a presentation a couple of nights ago, and it was on that the only two things in our lives are our responses. The only two things under our control are our responses and our reactions.
Yes. Yeah.
And rather than facing into your day, create your day.
Oh, Lois.
So it totally shifts that element that we don't get up in the morning kind of facing into the day, running around, okay, what has to be done? And then circumstances, situations, people take over it, and we're like firefighting all day.
Yes.
And we come to the end of the day and we go, oh, what if you started, well, I'm going to create my day today, and I'm going to make an intention, and I'm going to do one thing. And regardless of the challenges that come up within those hours, bring yourself back to complete that. Small steps at a time. And within that, it's a huge shift, and that you are running your own day.
Yeah.
So it's, it's just fascinating.
And it becomes a habit, doesn't it? It becomes a habit when you wake up every morning, you set that intention first thing in the morning. Now, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to reach out to today? Who am I going to make a difference with today? Or what am I going to practice today to love myself. That's something that I'm really practicing at the moment is self-care. Buy myself a bunch of flowers, go out and buy myself a mocha, or it could be something small, right? Treating yourself to something. And because that's really important to acknowledge yourself, I think. So many of us aren't acknowledging us or beating ourselves up and we're saying, oh God, Joanne, why did you do this, you idiot, or whatever. We're having that language. You spoke about language, and we're having that kind of conversations with ourselves, but we're denying ourselves of who we are when we have those conversations. Would you agree with that?
Well, we have to be conscious of what language we use about ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that if you use a language that's negative, well, then you're putting yourself down.
Yeah.
So it's around really becoming aware of the language that how you're speaking to yourself and deciding that I'm not going to speak like that anymore. It's a choice.
Yeah.
Choice at any one moment. And I mean, we are all incredible. We're all beautiful. And
Yes.
we're all the same.
Yeah.
We're all the same. When we strip us all back, we're all the same. We all want just a happy, peaceful life. I think that's what any of us want. And we want meaning in it. We want to feel that we're doing something that's meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To put yourself down and to talk negatively to yourself, that's a huge, when you become aware that you're doing that, you have to stop that. You need to replace that with I am enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not enough.
Reframe it.
Absolutely. And I would start my morning every day. And when I first start to come out of that sleep, I probably because I've done it for so long, I start to notice what's the first sentence that comes into my head.
Wow.
So I watch for it. And then if I didn't like it, I go, no, that's not going that way. So I reframe it. And all of a sudden I say, right, what are we going to do today? You're incredible. Let's get up, you're energized. So from the minute I put my feet out of the bed, I become mindful of what it is I'm going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't listen to negative stuff. Doesn't make me to be ignorant that I don't want to know. If I have to tip in and get certain information, I'll do it. But I do not listen to negative stuff. I don't read negative stuff. I deliberately choose stuff that's going to challenge me, throw some new seeds into this mind of mine and get me to think and energize me.
Yeah, yeah, love it.
And then as you said, it is around, you can, simple things like, a conversation, really listen, like sit with my daughter and have a meaningful conversation, or just pick up the phone, ring somebody, self-care. I buy roses for myself. A bunch of roses every Friday I would have done. And I've done that since 2002 when I stopped smoking.
Yeah.
I would go every Friday with the shopping and I would have bought myself a little bunch of roses because that was me for doing that and not going back.
That's a great way to acknowledge yourself. It might seem like something trivial or small, but it is so important to acknowledge yourself, because one of the things you talk about quite a lot, Jacqui, is doubt. When we doubt ourselves, self-doubt. And where does this come from, this self-doubt? Because through the self-doubt, we're sabotaging ourselves, and this negative talk comes from that. So why does that happen, in your opinion? Where do we get all this doubt from, and what's the consequences of that?
Well, I don't think we came with doubt.
We learned it, really, didn't we?
I don't think we arrived with it. So I think when we arrived, the environment, our families, friends, whatever situations we were found ourselves in, that we started to pick up these seeds of doubt. So when you or I, would have been in the schoolyard playing, and you instinctively remember, I don't know, that wasn't nice. They weren't nice to me, and they said something, or you just simply felt in the schoolyard that you couldn't go over to a circle of children standing. I had that, like, as a kid.
It's massive for a child.
Yeah, and you would go home maybe and say, oh, I don't think that they want me, or they wanted to play with me, or I'm not fun enough, or I wasn't funny enough, and then it wasn't done intentionally. Now, our parents or those around us, I don't think they did it deliberately, because they just happened to pick up the same program before they came along to hand it over to us.
Exactly.
And it was just said, no, not at all. You got that wrong. And then you start to doubt yourself.
Yes.
And then you start to doubt yourself. And that instinctive intuition part of you that knows, that deep knowing that you and I instinctively know what are the right choices for us. If we sat long enough and allowed that space and that answer to come, and it doesn't come here, it comes here. You know it in here.
Yeah.
Do you notice that where you instinctively you get it's a feeling. It's not oh no, that's right now. It's coming into this feeling.
And you mentioned feelings there, right? And so many of us are not, we're denying our feelings, we're numbing ourselves to our feelings. And you were talked about children there. And as children, when we're growing up, our parents, you know, if we're sad or we cut our knee or whatever, or if somebody said boo to us or whatever, and we're sad, and our parents would say, oh, stop crying, blah, 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 blah. So we were learning as a child to shut off from our feelings, to not acknowledge our feelings. Like our feelings are there, and there's no such thing as a wrong feeling, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. Actually, the feelings are another language.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how animals relate through emotions, because they can't verbalize.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, like the thoughts is the language of the mind, the feelings is the language of the body. So we must trust our feelings.
Yeah.
We must actually, if we became more mindful of our feelings when we stood anywhere, when we stood in situations, and we actually just narrowed our attention back into our feeling and go, what's the feeling I'm having now? We would get a huge amount of information.
Absolutely.
That information is actually correct and right.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been encouraged in any of us. It's been covered up, and you know, like that saying, I don't know about you, Joanne. I think you're younger than me, but you know, children were seen and not heard.
Yes.
Now, what did that mean? Well, that means that you and I, or I was told, you sat and you were quiet. And then in later life, you come along and you said, yeah, no, sure, I wouldn't. I would. Where do you think that came from?
Yeah.
That's from an old program where I should be seen and not heard.
Yeah. So now we're not expressing ourselves when we get older, and then we're doubting ourselves because we don't express ourselves because we're doubting what it is that we're feeling, because we're told before to be quiet or to, you know, stop crying or whatever. Oh,
yes.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And what it also does is this doubt thing. When the doubt then sets in, it's then starting to suppress your actual knowing.
Yeah.
So now your knowing is in a battle because you know at your core, you know, that's the feeling I had, which is based in the book. I knew I was right. And yet you've got doubt.
The resistance and the pull, and that makes it exhausted. Tell us about your story. Tell us a little bit about, you know, what happened, because that's the basis of your book, isn't it? You had something that happened that caused you to doubt, and then but you knew it was right all along. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the book is I call the book a soul piece, because that's what it is. It's a piece of me. I've shared a little piece of my soul, with the intention that if I share a little piece of my soul, that someone might read it and say, I'm okay too with that. And that something will resonate with them and they'll get something from it.
Yeah.
So my intention is it's written for the reader. My intention is it's written for those that may have had this similar experience that I'll tell you about now, but it's also written for anybody that doubts themselves.
Yeah.
Because doubt is a killer of our amazing potential.
Yes.
And I'm telling everybody, you can do what you want to do. You just decide to do it. You stand into that space. And if you stand into that space of creation and just create whatever it is that you want, you'll notice a lot of those doubts and noise and self-talk won't come in, because you are narrow in your attention of creating what it is that you want.
Beautiful. And that's where the creativity comes from. Yeah.
Yes. And there's no competition when you're creating.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing my stuff, you're doing your thing. Everybody's doing their own thing, and you're doing it from your own place. That instinctive place that brings you to do what you do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I in 1984, 23rd of October 1984, I had been admitted to hospital for an eye operation. But within 2 hours of arrival of that, some a doctor or somebody that looked like a doctor presented themselves to me and then proceeded to do an examination that was inappropriate for what I was in for. Now, instinctively at that time, I knew then and there in that moment that that was wrong. That there was something fundamentally wrong. And I never let go of it. But it's the journey. The book is the journey really as to, it was buried. I submerged it for a long time. That's the only thing I can say. I submerged it, I compartmentalized it, and I packed it away, lovely and neat, and moved on with my life. And as I packed it away and moved on with my life, I took on certain coping mechanisms and strategies to move on with my life and to do what I did. And I had a fairly good life. Like I had a successful, I ran a community organization for 25 years and I met wonderful people through there and I did a lot of great work, and I'm okay to say that about myself. I've done some really good work and I've met some wonderful people. And yet this never left me, but I wasn't in a position, and I know this, I was unable to verbalize and talk about this really only till now, recently. And the stronger I talk, the more that I do, I'm freer and freer. And the book was the sole piece was the last piece of this jigsaw to enable me to start to verbalize it, to share it with others. Because I didn't share it with many people, only a couple of people knew this had occurred. And it's quite interesting because if it had occurred to me on a street, maybe another view would have been taken of it. But when it's done in a medical setting, there's huge doubt because you've got to work through, is that me? Is that my reaction to that? Or and talk confusion, the confusion and doubt and layers of that has to be worked through. But yet, and like and I talk about her in the book all the time. I talk about my 15-year-old self who is saying, no, this was wrong. And like last year when this was written, it's just like she just comes back and she says, it's time.
Yeah, it's time now. Yeah, it's
You're
time.
old enough. You're my advocate, Jacqui, and we're doing this. And this book started to spill.
Yeah.
From me. And so it's been a fascinating journey. And as I've come to the finish of it and looked at it, I went, wow, this is just, it's a soul piece.
Well, it's a very brave and courageous thing that you did, writing down your story. And I can really hear in that, look, something happened that wasn't appropriate. And, your little child inside you all these years was having these conversations and there was a push pull, but you knew the whole time that it wasn't settling with you, that it was okay. And now you're in a place now where it's safe and it's time for you to share that message. But what I can also hear in that book is your message to people that look, if there's something fighting internally inside you, if there's some kind of conflict or whatever, to know you're knowing, and to know that if you're feeling something, it comes back to the feelings and acknowledging your feelings if your body is trying to tell you something. And I can really hear that the message you have for people is we have the power. We can be empowered to be great human beings and to thrive in life instead of having all these doubts that can hold us back and not allow us to be who we truly are.
Absolutely. And it is in that. And it doesn't mean that you have to go and write a book. It doesn't mean that you're doing what I'm doing. I mean, where I arrived at for this, and as I journaled, this started off as a journal. It didn't start off as a book, right? So it was my private journaling. But what became very apparent to me as I continued to do the journal and to read was this is not for you to keep. This is, because I was looking going, who else can I go to there that talk to about this? And can I find a book like this that I can read to get some lessons or insights from? And there wasn't any.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then I heard just one day, like, it was like, well, sorry, this is you. You're the one that's going to do the book. So
yes,
it's like, okay. So it's like, and I opened up and I just clicked the chapter there and it's chapter 7. It's not my story to keep.
yes, yeah. So it's like you're obliged to share the story so people can see something in themselves that relates to your story and they can see themselves in that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's kind of like a conversation, you know, when people are reading your book, that they can hear part of themselves because we're all human beings and we're very much interconnected and we very much have the same type of behaviors and there's so much learning that we can have in listening to somebody else's story that can help us see something that we didn't see before. And it's only when we see something that then we have the opportunity to do something about it, to change it, to empower ourselves and take responsibility. And that's really where we step into our power and become creative, creating our own lives, being an author of our own lives.
Yeah, and it's writing your own story. And I mean, I go in detail into shame. I do journal entries. If there is chapters, and then I'll do imagery of how that event manifested from thoughts into feelings.
Yeah,
Now it's in an image.
yeah.
So and that in itself has been hugely powerful. And then in the book too is a toolkit that you can go to, look at and take from if you so need. So do you know what I'm going to read here for you? It's a tiny
Yeah.
little thing and it's on shame.
Very big thing that affects many people.
Shame, secretly hiding all my emotions. Secretly hiding all my emotions from whom and for what purpose. Too difficult for me to handle. Emotions like a dirty, filthy being. Shame because it happened to me. Shame for some bizarre reasons that I took the shame on, but it wasn't mine to take on in the first place. Shame didn't belong to me, it belongs to him. Letting go of shame, once again giving back to him to carry, not me. Freeing me up, allowing space for my essence and core and knowing to be me. With shame comes deep feelings of not being good enough, being treated like a piece of meat. Going home, with each word I write this page, I know I'm going home.
Oh,
So it's
Jackie.
shame. And then I go on and I talk about, listen.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a poem, which is nice. I think it's lovely. Listen, how many great ideas, cures and inventions and dreams are lost as a consequence of not listening to our own incredible voice. Listen, what is within the human condition that we often give more value and attention to the ideas and opinions of others rather than to our own. Listen, ask yourself, what's that about? Listen, your ideas and dreams have a purpose. Listen closely to them and act upon them. Listen, to deny them is to deny and not listen to the very purpose and callings of your soul.
Oh my God.
Don't know whether
Jackie,
you like that. That's now for some weird reason, I've written poems.
in yeah, you were telling me that when you were doing
Yeah.
your journaling.
So
I
yeah.
can really hear now. So giving the shame back to where it belongs. So that's sending it back because it's like there's a chain attached to you when you're experiencing shame. So it's like you're cutting that cord and sending it back to the person. So you're taking your power back. That's what I can hear in that. And then listening, because it's when you're really listening. Like people talk, but they don't necessarily hear what's been said, like beyond the words. So that's what I can really hear in your poem. Yeah, I could talk to you all day. We're coming to the end. And I'm really looking forward to your book launch. So your book launch is on the 18th of February. That's when it's been released.
7 p.m.
Okay. And are you doing a Facebook Live or what are you doing to launch? Or
for the launch.
I think you should do a little Facebook Live. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
For the launch, is it?
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing
Yeah.
for
Oh
your
yeah.
launch?
No, I'm going to do it. It'll be Zoom.
Brilliant.
So then I plan to hopefully maybe looking at the numbers, we might do Facebook Live
Yeah.
if the way it's working out. And I've got 3 wonderful guest speakers
Wow.
on myself. And it'll be on from 7 to 7:45.
Okay.
Patrick Mercy is MC for me. And then the incredible Donna Kennedy
Nice.
is speaking.
Yeah.
Heather Shields, the
Yeah.
publisher and ghostwriter that worked with me.
Mm.
And Bernadette Sullivan from the Drogheda Dignity for Patients.
Wow.
The lady that has been with me the last 9 years on
Yeah.
this journey as well. So it's going to be exciting and informative. And actually there's a giveaway on the night. If you're not there, you can't get the
Right, so you
opportunity
have
to
to be
win
in
a
to
giveaway.
win.
You have to be in to win, and you have to stay on till 7:45 or you can't win.
Brilliant. I love it, Jacqui. So give me the link for that and I'll put it in the show notes. And Jacqui, give me your website as well, so people, and maybe the link for your book where people can buy, because they can pre-order at the moment, and then when it's released, they can order. Obviously, give us that link.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'll do that for you.
Tell me what it is there now. What is it?
My link.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a long link. So it's
it's
JacquiTaaffe.com/inspire heal and empower. So what I'll do is we'll put it up. I'll give you the link and put it in the box maybe.
Yeah, and I'll put your homepage up there as well, because obviously for your own work as well that you're doing, so people can find the other links from there as well. But yeah, I'll put it all in the show notes. So Jacqui, we're at the very end. Listen, I really want to acknowledge you for all the work that you're doing in the world, and the message, the powerful message that you're sharing and helping people to really be empowered and take control of their lives again. It's so, so important. And I just want to wish you the best, and I will see you on your book launch night.
You will, but I've done it before.
Yes. Jacqui, it's a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic day. Okay.
Okay, Joanne.
Thank you.
Bye.